There is a particular kind of pain that doesn't scream. It quietly settles into the everyday moments of a relationship. It shows up in the pauses where there used to be laughter, in the unanswered messages, in the way your body suddenly feels tense around someone who once felt like home. The most wounding part is not that love disappears overnight. It's how it slowly evaporates while you keep telling yourself, it's probably nothing, it will get better. I just need to try harder. We are shaped to blame ourselves when affection withdraws. We call ourselves too much, too sensitive, too needy, instead of asking the more honest question, what is actually happening here? Losing interest rarely arrives as a dramatic ending. It comes disguised as silence, distraction, emotional absence, and you feeling more alone next to someone than you ever did by yourself. Today is not about accusing your partner. It is about protecting your nervous system, your dignity, and your truth. It is about recognizing the signals your body already feels but your mind keeps trying to explain away. So let's talk about the signs, not to create fear, but to bring clarity, honesty, and the possibility of making conscious choices instead of slowly breaking. NUMBR1 ICU, your presence no longer lights up their attention. There is a moment in many relationships when you begin to notice something subtle but piercing. And your presence no longer evokes aliveness in the other person. In the beginning, their eyes softened when they saw you. Their nervous system seemed to relax in your company. You felt welcome not just physically, but emotionally, as if who you were mattered, as if your existence itself created warmth in the space between you. Then slowly, almost imperceptibly, the light begins to dim. You speak and their attention drifts. You walk into the room and there is no shift, no glow of recognition, no small spark of joy that says, I'm glad you're here. Instead, you find yourself competing with phones, distractions, their inner preoccupations. You're still there, but you no longer register as a priority. You've become part of the background, familiar, convenient, and therefore taken for granted. What makes this so painful is not simply the loss of attention, it is what attention represents. When someone's interest is engaged, their gaze says, I see you. When their attention disappears, your nervous system registers it as emotional abandonment. You don't reason through it, you feel it in your chest, in the tightening of your throat, in the quiet panic that asks, what changed? What did I do wrong? You may start performing, becoming louder, more accommodating, more interesting, trying to win back something that once came naturally. Or you shrink, making yourself smaller so you are easier to tolerate. Both are attempts to cope with the same wound, the pain of being physically present but emotionally unseen. Often this shift isn't about you being less worthy or less lovable. It may be about the other person withdrawing into their own unresolved fears, distractions, or emotional numbness. Yet the child in you, the part that learned long ago that love must be earned, takes it personally. You begin to internalize their fading interest as a verdict on your value. The truth is simpler and harder. At the same time, interest is an expression of availability. When it fades, your body senses the loss of connection even before your mind is willing to name it. You notice yourself remembering how it used to be, replaying early moments for reassurance. You stay loyal to the past instead of honest about the present. But the present speaks clearly, the room feels colder. When you enter, your words fall heavier, your laughter echoes without landing. Attention is not a small thing. It is the currency of love. When it disappears, the soul feels impoverished, even if the relationship on the surface looks intact. Recognizing this is not about blaming the other person. It is about honoring what your inner world is experiencing. When your presence no longer lights up their attention, something vital has shifted. Your task is not to become brighter, louder, or more impressive. Your task is to listen to the quiet truth inside you that says, I deserve to be met, not merely tolerated. NUMBR2IS. They stop being curious about your inner world. There comes a point when you realize the person beside you is no longer reaching toward your inner world. In the past, they wanted to know what lived inside you, not just the outline of your day, but the weather of your heart. They asked how you were really feeling, what you were dreaming about, what kept you awake at night. They leaned in, not for facts, but for connection. Then slowly the questions faded. Conversations became shallow, practical, and safe. You talk about plans, errands, deadlines, but not about the places inside you that ache or long or hope. You begin to notice that when you try to share something deeper, the moment slides past them. Their response is brief, distracted, or changes the subject. The message is quiet but unmistakable. Your inner life is no longer a place they are interested in visiting. This loss of curiosity cuts deeper than it appears on the surface. To be asked about your inner world is to be invited to exist fully, it says. Your feelings matter. Your inner reality is important to me. When curiosity disappears, you start to feel emotionally orphaned within the relationship. You are still there physically, but there is no one meeting you where you actually live in your thoughts, fears, and vulnerabilities. You may notice yourself censoring what you share, trimming your emotional truth down to what feels acceptable, convincing yourself that it's not the right time to open up. Over time, you begin to feel lonely in conversations that used to feel alive. Often this shift is not about you becoming less interesting. It is about the other person closing off parts of themselves, numbing, withdrawing, or becoming overwhelmed by their own inner world. But your body experiences it as rejection all the same. There is a particular grief in realizing that someone once wanted to know your depths and now prefers the surface. You feel the distance grow, not in arguments, but in the quiet absence of being asked, what is really happening inside you right now? When curiosity dies, love doesn't always vanish immediately, but connection does. You are no longer discovered daily, you are assumed, summarized, already known. Yet a human being is never finished, never fully mapped. You keep evolving while the other person stops looking. The tragedy is not simply that they don't ask, it's that you start believing there is no point in being known. The healing begins when you recognize this for what it is, not a verdict on your richness, but a sign of disconnection. You deserve relationships where your inner world is not an inconvenience, but a place someone genuinely longs to enter. Now UMBR3IS, affection becomes a duty, not a desire. There is a quiet turning point in love that is rarely spoken aloud, when affection stops flowing freely and begins to feel performed. In the beginning, touch was spontaneous. A hand reached for yours without thinking. Hugs lingered because neither of you wanted to let go. There was warmth not only in the gesture, but in the energy behind it, a natural movement of the heart toward closeness. Then something changes. The gestures may still be there, but the life has gone out of them. The kiss lands, but it feels empty. The embrace happens, but your body can sense it is being given out of habit, not longing. This shift is profoundly unsettling because the body recognizes it before the mind does. You feel it in the way their arms rest around you without pressure, without pull. You feel it in how they touch you, the way one crosses off a task, present in action, absent in spirit. Affection becomes scheduled, negotiated, or guilt-driven. They hug you because they think they should. They say, "I love you," because it's expected at the end of a call. The ritual remains, the desire has faded, and you're left with the painful paradox of receiving affection while feeling uncared for. When affection becomes duty, and your nervous system no longer relaxes into it, instead of nourishment, you receive confusion. You start questioning yourself. Am I imagining this? Am I asking for too much? Maybe this is just what long-term relationships become. You try to be grateful for whatever is still there, yet a deeper part of you mourns what has gone missing. The sense of being chosen, not merely tolerated. You don't just want their touch, you want the presence behind it, the emotional warmth that says, "I want to be here with you." For the one giving duty, bound affection, this often isn't malicious. They may be tired, overwhelmed, disconnected from themselves, or afraid to confront what has changed. So they keep performing the motions of love and hoping the feeling will return or avoiding the discomfort of honesty. But the soul recognizes pretense even when words deny it. The body keeps receiving the message you are being cared for out of obligation, not desire. The deepest wound here is not the reduction of physical closeness, it is the erosion of mutual aliveness. Desire is not only sexual, it is the basic impulse to move toward another person with openness and curiosity. When that impulse fades, affection turns into maintenance. You become the keeper of the relationship's memory, holding on to how it once felt, while the present moment grows colder. Seeing this clearly is painful, but it is not a condemnation of you. It is not proof that you are less attractive, less lovable, or less worthy. It is a sign of disconnection in them, between you, or in both directions. The work is not to beg for more gestures or to become more pleasing so that desire returns. The work is to honor what your heart already knows. Affection is meant to be an expression of connection, not a substitute for it. You deserve a love that reaches for you because it wants to, not because it feels it has to. Now BR4IS communication shrinks to logistics. You talk about schedules, chores, bills, everything except the relationship itself. Depth disappears. You stop sharing dreams, pains, and silly moments. It's as if you become roommates managing a life instead of partners sharing one. There comes a stage when your conversations are no longer places of meeting, but schedules to be managed. You still speak, yet the speaking is about groceries, deadlines, rides, bills, plans for tomorrow. The heart is absent. The tone is efficient. Nothing is actually wrong on the surface, which makes it more disorienting. The words keep flowing, but the connection has dried up underneath. You notice that the deeper questions have vanished. No how are you really? No curiosity about what is alive or aching inside you. The relationship begins to feel like a shared project rather than a shared life, and a quiet loneliness grows not from lack of talking, but from talking about everything except what truly matters. Not you on BR5, you feel like you're chasing, and they're withdrawing. There is a painful imbalance that develops almost without your consent. You find yourself moving toward them while they keep moving away. You are the one initiating conversations, making plans, sending the messages, reaching out to repair things after conflict. They respond, but with less enthusiasm, less presence, less time. It begins to feel as though the entire relationship rests on your effort, your reminders, your emotional labor. You notice that when you lean in, they lean back. When you open up, they grow silent. The more you pursue connection, the more they seem to retreat into distance or distraction. This dynamic does something subtle to your self-worth. You start believing that if you just say the right thing, try a little harder, become a bit more patient, they will finally turn toward you again like they used to. You read and reread their messages, searching for crumbs of reassurance. You make excuses for their absence. They're busy, they're stressed, they're just not expressive. Even while your body feels the truth, you are chasing someone who is no longer meeting you halfway. The one who withdraws often doesn't announce it. They simply give less of themselves, less time, less vulnerability, less effort, and allow you to fill the widening gap. Their silence becomes something you adapt to. Their lack of initiative becomes normal. And slowly, a relationship that once felt mutual begins to revolve around your attempts to keep it alive. You stop asking whether this is good for you and start asking how you can be easier to love. At its core, this chasing withdrawing pattern awakens very old wounds. It mirrors childhood moments when love felt inconsistent, where you had to work for closeness or prove your worth to avoid losing it. That is why it feels so consuming. You are not only trying to hold on to your partner, you are trying to rewrite an old story in which affection was unstable, and you had to earn it by trying harder. Recognizing this pattern is not about blaming either of you. It is about seeing clearly what your nervous system is going through. When love is healthy, both people move toward each other even imperfectly. When you are always the one reaching while the other retreats, your heart is being taught to live on hope instead of reciprocity. And you deserve a connection where your effort is matched, not pursued into the distance. No BR6ISE, their patience for your emotions decreases. There comes a time when you notice that your emotions, once welcomed, now seem to take up too much space. In the beginning they listened, maybe not perfectly, but with some openness. Your sadness, excitement, confusion, or fear were things they leaned toward. Now something has shifted. Your feelings are met with sighs, eye rolls, quick fixes, or irritation. You start hearing phrases like, "You're overthinking," "You're too sensitive," "Not this again." The message lands quietly but powerfully. Your inner world has become inconvenient. This change doesn't just silence conversation, it teaches you to mute yourself. You begin rehearsing what you will say before you say it. You edit your feelings down to smaller sizes. You apologize for crying, apologize for needing reassurance, apologize simply for being affected by life. Instead of comfort, you're met with defensiveness or dismissal, and your nervous system starts to brace, not only for what you feel, but for their reaction to what you feel. What hurts most is not disagreement, it's the loss of gentleness. Your emotions are no longer something to understand, but something to get past quickly. They rush you out of your own experience because they don't want to sit in the discomfort of it. And even if you understand their stress or tiredness, your body still hears the truth. There is less room for me here than there used to be. Often this decrease in patience isn't about you becoming more emotional, it's about them becoming less available. When people disconnect from themselves, they have little capacity for the emotions of others, but knowing this doesn't erase the loneliness of it. You begin to feel like you must earn stability by staying quiet. You learn to carry your feelings alone inside a relationship that was supposed to be a place to set them down. The deeper wound is the belief that your emotions are too much. Yet your feelings are not problems, they are signals from your inner life, asking to be witnessed. When patience disappears, love starts to feel conditional. You are welcome when you are easy, and a burden when you are human. Recognizing this is an act of self-honesty, not accusation. You deserve a connection where your emotions are not obstacles to be tolerated, but expressions of your truth that someone genuinely wants to understand. Now UMBR 7 eyes, they stop fighting for the relationship. There is a point when conflict no longer turns into repair, it just drifts into silence. They don't ask, how do we fix this anymore? Arguments end without apologies, without real conversations, without effort to understand each other. Problems get brushed aside instead of worked through. You notice you're the only one bringing issues up, the only one trying to reconnect after distance. They stop planning for the future, stop reassuring you, stop showing up for the hard conversations that keep love alive. It's not loud or dramatic, it's the quiet absence of effort. And that absence says everything. The relationship is no longer something they're willing to fight for, even though you still are. And UMBR AIS. There is a particular ache in noticing that the very spaces where you once met each other are now the places they avoid. Where there used to be easy closeness, late night conversations, shared jokes, quiet moments of leaning into one another, there is now a subtle withdrawal. They stay longer at work, disappear into their phone, stay up later than you, or go to bed earlier. They are present in the room, but no longer available in the way they once were. You can feel the absence not as a dramatic exit, but as a gradual thinning of connection. The air between you is the same, yet something essential is missing. This distance is not always created by words. Often it is created by what is no longer said or done. They stop reaching for your hand, stop asking what's on your mind, stop sharing the little pieces of their inner life. The spaces that used to feel warm now feel careful. You catch yourself hesitating before speaking, sensing that your openness will not be met in the same way it once was. The laughter you used to fall into together becomes rarer, replaced by polite exchanges or practical conversations. You start to feel like a guest in a place that was once your home. Your body notices this before your mind wants to admit it. You feel a quiet grief when they pull away emotionally after you try to get close. You feel the sting when they choose distraction over connection. A part of you keeps trying, initiating talks, planning time together, reminding them of the bond you shared. Another part of you is already mourning what used to exist. It is confusing because nothing obvious has happened, yet everything feels different. Often the distance they create is not about your worth, it is about their own unresolved fears, exhaustion, or emotional shutdown. But even when you understand this, the impact remains the same. You experience being moved away from where intimacy once lived. You begin to question your place, wondering what shifted, wondering how you became someone they keep at arm's length. The deepest pain is not simply that closeness has faded, it is that your heart still longs for them while they slowly retreat. Recognizing this distance is an act of honesty with yourself. You are not asking for too much when you wish to be met where love once flowed freely. You are noticing a truth your heart already feels. Closeness cannot be created by one person alone, and you deserve to be somewhere you are welcome, not avoided. Now MBR 9 Ice, you feel more insecure than loved. There is a shift inside you that is hard to name at first. You realize that being with this person no longer brings a sense of safety. Instead, it brings a constant anxiety you carry in your chest. You spend more time worrying about losing them than feeling held by them. Your days become filled with questions that have no answers. Did I say something wrong? Why are they quieter today? Why did their tone change? Are they bored of me? Are they talking to someone else? You begin to live in a state of emotional scanning, reading every pause, every delayed reply, every sigh as a possible sign that you are becoming unwanted. This insecurity does not arise because you are weak or too much. It grows when love becomes unpredictable. When reassurance is scarce, the nervous system no longer relaxes. Instead of resting in the relationship, you brace yourself inside it. You measure your words, soften your needs, try to be easier, lighter, less demanding. You start competing silently with imaginary versions of yourself, a happier you, a quieter you, a more impressive you, as if becoming better could guarantee you won't be left. The painful truth is that you no longer feel chosen, you feel at risk. Affection feels conditional. Attention feels temporary. You stop trusting moments of sweetness because you're already anticipating their disappearance. Even when nothing is wrong, you can't fully exhale. Your self-worth begins to hinge on their moods, their availability, their level of interest on any given day. One warm message calms you, one cold response unravels you. Love turns into emotional vigilance. What hurts most is remembering that it didn't always feel this way. There was a time when you felt secure, when their presence softened your fears rather than awakening them. Now, the relationship mirrors an older wound, the feeling of having to earn closeness, perform for acceptance, or stay small to avoid abandonment. The relationship becomes less about connection and more about survival. What do I have to do so they don't stop loving me? Feeling more insecure than loved is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that your emotional needs are not being met. The body reacts honestly when connection becomes inconsistent or distant. Your insecurity is not a flaw, it is a signal. It is your inner world saying, "This doesn't feel safe anymore. I do not feel cherished here." The healing does not begin with trying harder to be worthy. It begins with recognizing the truth of your experience. Love should not feel like walking on eggshells inside your own heart. You deserve a connection where reassurance is natural, where you can breathe, where you feel chosen without constantly proving why you should be. In MBR 10 Eyes, your intuition already knows. There is a moment, often long before you are ready to admit it, when something deep inside you has already recognized the truth. Your intuition doesn't shout, it whispers. It shows up as a heaviness in your chest after a conversation that looked normal. It appears as the sudden silence after laughter, as the feeling that you are trying to convince yourself more than anyone else that everything is fine. You catch yourself replaying their words, not because they were unclear, but because you're trying to force them to mean something warmer than they did. And beneath all that thinking, a quieter voice says, "You already know." Intuition is not a dramatic prophecy. It is your nervous system reading reality with painful accuracy. It notices shifts your mind tries to rationalize away, the way their eyes don't soften anymore, the way their touch doesn't reach you, the way effort has drained out of their presence. You see it in patterns, not moments. And even when you tell yourself they're tired, busy, stressed, distracted, another part of you feels the difference between temporary distance and fading love. What makes this so hard is that intuition is honest while the heart is hopeful. One part of you senses the ending, another part still clings to the beginning. So you bargain with yourself, you lower your expectations, you wait for proof, you ask for signs, yet the sign has already arrived in how you feel when you're with them, unsure, unsettled, unchosen. You don't lack clarity, you lack permission to trust the clarity you already have. Very often, your intuition knew before the first tear fell. It knew in the way your energy changed, in the way you stopped laughing the same way, in how you felt lonelier with them than without them. It knew in the way your body tensed around conversations that used to feel safe. And even if your mind comes up with explanations, your inner truth refuses to be fooled. A connection has shifted, and you can feel it. This does not mean you must leave or stay or make any immediate decision. It simply means something real inside you is asking to be acknowledged. Intuition is not an enemy trying to ruin your relationship. It is the part of you that refuses to live on self-deception. It is your deepest self saying, "Stop pretending you don't feel what you feel." Trusting it is not about rushing into endings. It is about honoring your reality. You deserve relationships where your intuition relaxes, not where it constantly sounds an alarm. And even if your voice shakes, there is strength in finally admitting to yourself, "I know. I've known for a while." If you recognized yourself in these signs, it does not mean you are unlovable. It does not mean you failed. It means your heart notices truth before your mind can accept it. Interest fades for many reasons: unhealed wounds, fear of intimacy, emotional shutdown, personal struggles, but your worth is not negotiable based on someone else's capacity to stay present. The real question is never, why am I not enough for them? The real question is, why am I staying where my nervous system is constantly starving? You deserve a love that turns toward you, a love that is curious about your soul, a love that meets you where you are instead of making you beg for crumbs. Sometimes the bravest act is not fighting harder. It is listening to the truth your heart has been whispering all along.